All right, allow me to welcome you to the second section of this tutorial series. And now that we have our character wired up with animations and movement, we will finally create a 2D level for our character to live in. Let's get started. If this is the first video that you're seeing from this series, don't worry, you can still follow along. Just grab this free Brackey's platformer bundle. Link is down in the description. The most important file from the Brackey's platformer bundle that we will be working with right now is this texture file world_tileset. So I want you to grab that. And first we will do a little bit of organization. So I'm going to create a new folder in our 2D assets folder. I'm going to call it map. And I'm going to just move the world tileset into it. Also, if you're just jumping in, make sure to right click and go to sprite actions, apply paper 2D texture settings, which is super important to make sure that the textures are nice and crisp. Once that's done, I want you to right click, sprite actions, and create tile set. We're going to rename this file. We're going to name it tset_, and we can leave the rest as it is. So world tile set. I suppose we can remove the final tile set keyword because it's sort of repetitive, but totally up to you. Next, I want you to navigate into that file. Here you can see all the tiles that have been provided to us via the tileset texture file. And we need to adjust a few things before we can start using them to create our map. So first, if I click on any of the tiles, you can see that, the default selection sort of selects 4 at the time. So we need to adjust what's called a tile size. So in this center menu over here, you can see the tile size is 32 by 32. So I'm going to change that to our actual tile size, which is 16 by 16. You can see that now it correctly selects exactly one tile. Let me just move the tab over here so we have a little bit more space. And there is one more thing that we need to do, which is to add collisions to the tiles that we think should have the collisions. So, for example, the first tile, in my opinion, should definitely have a collision. The fastest way to add it is to click Add Box. As you can see in the right-hand menu over here, this white box has appeared around the tile. So I'm going to add collisions to maybe this one as well, maybe these sand tiles. And I think that's actually all that I will need for now. So we can just save, close this, go back to our folder, and here we will finally create the map. So I want you to right click, go to paper 2D tile map. We're going to name it tmap_platformer. And we're going to open the file. Here, again, before we can start drawing, we need to adjust a few things. So similarly, we need to adjust the tile width and tile height to be 16 by 16 because that's the size of our tiles. And now we need to set up the map width and height. So right now we only have like 4 by 4. So I'm going to go with something like 32 by 32. Next, we need to select the tile set from which we will be using the tiles. So click this tile set icon over here and choose the only tile set that we currently have available, which is the one that we have just created. And here you can simply select the tile that you want to add to the map and start drawing. If you mess something up, you can use the eraser tool, which is also activated by the E keybind. You can just erase anything. And if you want to fill in large areas, you can totally go with the paint bucket or fill tool, which is also hidden underneath the G key. So I'm going to, for example, choose this tile over here and just click fill. If I go back to the paint tool, there is one more relatively useful workflow, which allows you to select multiple tiles by clicking and dragging. And then you can place multiple tiles into the world at the same time. If you have previously adjusted the pixels per unit at your sprites, Then you also need to change that to the corresponding number on your tile map, which also has the pixels per Unreal Unit property. I don't remember the exact number, so I'm gonna go back to my sprites, which can be found in the 2D assets night folder, and I'm gonna open any one of the sprites. And here in the pixels per unit field, I'm gonna just copy this number and paste it in the map. I'm gonna press enter, which is obviously gonna make the map larger, but it doesn't really change anything, so I'm just gonna zoom out. Now, when we save, we could theoretically place the map into the world over here, but I'm going to create a completely separate blank level for our map. So I want you to go to File, New Level, and select Empty Level. Click Create. You don't really need to save this map that we worked with previously. And once here, you can simply open your asset drawer, go to Map in 2D Assets, and drag and drop the 2D map that you have just created. One thing that I like to do is just to reset the location so that all the coordinates are 0, which makes it a little bit easier later on when adding other assets into the level. Now that we have the map, I'm gonna click Quick Add in the top left corner and go to Basic and Player Start. So I'm just gonna sort of like drag it in. And I'm just gonna check. I can see that the location is completely messed up. So again, I'm just gonna click reset, which is gonna put it in the top left corner from where I can sort of just drag it down, maybe a little bit to the right. All right, so that's it. You have your character existing in a 2D level. There is one more thing that we're going to quickly fix, which is this weird artifact. The issue is that the pixels are at the same Y coordinates, so, the engine is freaking out a little bit, not sure which to render at the front. We can very easily fix this by moving the player start just a few pixels to the front on the y-axis. So I'm going to type in, let's say 3. I'm going to start play again. And now if I run around, everything works just fine. There's one more thing that you might want to actually fix, which is the camera distance. In my opinion, this is a little bit too close. So I'm going to go to the blueprints, night, BP night. I'm going to select the spring arm, which has the target arm length property. And I'm going to adjust that to something like 650 maybe. I'm going to press enter, save, go back to my level, press play. And now I think this is much better. Before we wrap up this video, we need to save our level. So simply press Ctrl S or save, and save the level in the levels folder as level_platformer. All right, congratulations on creating your very first 2D level. This is some very exciting progress. But stay tuned, because we are far from done when it comes to level design and other potential upgrades that we could make to our level and our game. So make sure to hit that subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.